Good morning. Hi, everybody. Welcome to week number 2 for our Human Sexuality classes. Thank you so much for those of you who are joining me on here live. I'll give you all just another minute or so if you could make sure you're putting your first and last name in the chat box so I have a record of who's here. Unless you're subscribed, then you don't need to worry about it because you will be on my download page later. But thank you so much for being here. Can everyone hear me and see me okay before I keep going? Let me know if you can hear and see me just fine. Perfect. I got a couple of yeses. I'll take it. Thank you so much. Well, today is October. It's October. I was looking at my Halloween cup and October. I did that earlier today too. August 24th, right? Tuesday, August 24th. Our week number 2 stream. It is not October, though my family and I are excitedly waiting for October to come. But that's great that you can all hear me and see me. Thank you for joining me today. This will be a little shorter than last week since we don't need to go over the format of the course. But what I want to do today, so our agenda for our time together, I will go over a little bit of feedback from week number 1. So I'm going to talk about the first discussion and some trends that I saw, biggest reasons why people lost points. I will go over a little bit on how you can find your grades and feedback from last week and show you where you can find that information. I'll go over some of the reminders for week number 2. What are the things that we're doing this week and go through each one of those. I'll give you your Twitch extra credit question for this week. And then on top of that, I will see if there are any questions at the end. So the last 10 minutes or so, I will hang out and see if anyone has any general questions about this week or last week or anything related to the class. So thank you again for all of you who are here with me. I know that we're not in person, but it makes me very happy to see your names in the chat. Feel free to ask questions if you have them. Put your questions in the chat and I will get to them as soon as I can, and I'm monitoring that on my phone. Just a quick reminder, and I noticed there are several of you who are joining me for the first time on here, which is great. Don't forget, if you have the ability to do so for free, please don't ever pay for this. But if you have Amazon Prime or you signed up for the free student Prime that I sent out to you, don't forget to try and follow me and subscribe here on Twitch for free. The only reason that I suggest that is because I can't stand ads, and I think that would be nice for you to have that smoother experience. And it also saves me the step if I can download everyone who was with me today, and I don't have to look up your names individually. So it makes my life a little easier. Thank you for those of you who have done that. You can see in the chat that you have the little hamburger or Twitch crown next to your name. It's a football cake. It's not a hamburger, but it looks like a hamburger. So just take a moment to do that at some point if you can, and check every week because it's only good for 30 days. And so I'll remind you every week. I'm sorry if that gets old, but just trying to help you have a smoother experience with this. So let's go ahead together and go over to Canvas. And again, if you have questions or thoughts, feel free to put them in the chat. I hope everyone's doing well, right? We're in the second week of school already. It's hard to believe that we're already in week number 2. We're in the last week of August. It's practically September. Football is so close. I can taste it. I'm very excited for football to be coming in the very, very near future. So yay for football. I'm really hoping I can go to a football game this year. I almost said the Patriots. Oh my gosh. The Bucks play the Rams at the end of September here in LA, and I want to go so bad. We'll see. The tickets are like $400 or more for the worst seats ever, but I still want to go. So we'll see. Tracy, it should show up eventually. You have a crown next to your name, so you are subscribed. So sometimes if you just subscribed, it takes a little bit for you to get that little badge, but it will show up hopefully. And you'll have the little football cake. But I do see the crown, so you should be all set. All right. So let's go over some stuff from last week, and then we will move forward to this week. So last week, week number 1 is in the books, right? Again, 1 week down of our semester. So last week, the things you were in charge of were reading chapter 1 and watching the PowerPoint. I hope you enjoyed the video. I really think the video I had you watch for the discussion is a very fun one. Something about the changes in the time and the way things were viewed, I think it makes it really, really interesting. So I hope that you agree and that you now know extra information about the bicycle and how it was such a threat. You'll never look at a bike the same way again. Oh, good. I'm glad that you liked it. But last week, what I saw for the discussion, let me just pull that up here for just a moment. And Busy Bee, you just asked, if you have Prime, how do you link it to your Twitch? I can show you at the end just so I don't take time away. But there are instructions everywhere on that. I'd be happy to show you where you could find that at the end. So just remind me if I don't remember at the end when I ask if there are any questions, ask me again and I'd be happy to show you. So the topic was if you could travel through time or across distances, where or when would you go to, and reference specific concepts, and then a couple of questions about the video, the documentary that you watched. For the most part, I was really impressed with the responses that I saw. A lot of you did a beautiful job of talking about specific times and places that you would want to go or things that you would want to see. A great job talking about some of the different changes in gender and sexuality. There are an incredible number of ways that those various wars and our involvement in them change gender and sexuality in our country. So very nicely done. A couple of comments just overall. There were quite a few of you who got like 11 or 12 out of 13 points on the discussion, and what I gave you for feedback was I wanted just a little bit more. So make sure that you are elaborating in your responses, show off that you understand and can apply that information. You want to make sure that you're giving me enough, and that was the biggest reason that people lost points, just not quite giving me enough detail to show off that knowledge. And what I tend to do as a student, just to pass this along to you, and it's totally up to you, but what I like to do is kind of take a quick look at everybody's posts, right? And there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's not cheating as long as you come up with your own answers. But if you look at other people's posts, you can kind of get an idea of like, oh, that one, this looks kind of about like the amount that most people are posting. I don't want to be shorter than that. I tend to kind of scroll through and take a quick look. So just make sure that you're answering everything fully and giving me as much detail and information as possible. The other big reason that people lost points was not responding to a peer. And remember that in order to get full points, you need to not only answer my questions, but also reply to one of your classmates. And the reply is much briefer. It's just a couple of sentences. Maybe you liked, what part somebody wanted to visit, or you agreed with them or disagreed and you wanted to just kind of comment on it. But make sure that you're doing that as well. That makes up those last 2 points. And you want to make sure you're getting those because they will add up over the course of the semester. So overall, really nicely done. I hope you're also watching these little videos. I know, they're just a couple minutes long, but I think that they're helpful in giving you a little more detail and examples if you are feeling a little stuck. So overall, week 1, discussion 1 in the books. Great job for the most part. Watching and responding to those prompts. Also, as far as the Twitch extra credit, Daryl, a few people did, and now you know, and now you will remember moving forward. It's only 2 points, and if you're doing this extra credit with me today, that makes up for that. So don't beat yourself up over it. Just make sure moving forward that you do the 2 points every week, or get the peer response in those 2 points. So the extra credit, a lot of you did it, about half of you or so, a little less than half. And that is an option you will have every week. I will give you the extra credit for this week today as well. And I did post the recording. A lot of you watched the recording. You can go on there and watch it as many times as you need to. And I will typically post those on YouTube, as I mentioned, so that you are able to watch them on your phone or tablet or computer much easier. It's just easier to access. So I think that is, for the most part, it for last week. The only thing I wanted to mention is if you're wondering, how do I find my grade or how do I find my feedback? In the announcement for this week, so if you go back to announcements, This went out yesterday morning, announcement for week number 2. I did make a little video on how to find your grades and your feedback in Canvas, and it's pretty brief. It's only a couple of minutes long. But if you didn't see your feedback for your discussion, whether that's the rubric or comments that I wrote, I did make a little video on how to find that. You can also click on your grades and find it all there, but I showed you how to find all that information in the video. So if you are struggling to find it, check out the video. That should definitely help you. You can see me right here. I think my hair was much shorter than growing it out because of COVID, right? But watch the video, make sure you are able to find your grades and your feedback. But overall, really nicely done last week, and we are now moving on to week number 2. So before I go there, let me put this in the chat here. Are there any questions, comments, thoughts, anything left over from last week before we move into this week? I'll wait just a moment or two to allow you to catch up. Any questions, thoughts, comments, anything from last week? And I'll see if there are questions again at the end. So if you have nothing for now, that's okay. But I just want to make sure, since I can't see all your beautiful faces to check, I will ask you this way. Good. I'm glad you love the documentaries. There's another excerpt from one this week. There's so much wonderful material related to this class. Sometimes it's a little difficult to narrow that down. Right? Yes, the Kinsey one, I only gave you part of it. I only wanted you to watch the first half. There is a whole nother half, but yes, I only gave you a portion of it, the part that I felt was the most relevant for you. Trying to be mindful of your time, right? I don't want to ask more of you than I need to. So I edited it out. I think I said that right. The Twitch extra credit question last week was, I believe it was what are the 4 components of sexual intelligence? A couple of people answered the question for a different class. So make sure that you're always watching our lecture video, our live stream. I do another one right before this for abnormal psych. And then on Wednesdays, I do one for my intro class. So just make sure that you're answering the right question. So a couple of you answered one from a different class. So if you're reading the question and going, I don't think we covered that, it's probably the wrong question. So just make sure you're always paying attention to the titles and watching the right live stream. So a couple of you had that. And if you answer the question earlier in the week, I typically grade the extra credits as the week goes along. And so if you get it wrong, you always have a chance to resubmit it as long as it's before the deadline. So you could always make sure you do it early in the week too. And if you get it wrong, I will say in the comments, feel free to try again before the weekly deadline. Okay. All right. So let's look at week number 2. This week we have moved on to conducting research in sexuality. And sadly, if we were meeting in person, I would send you out to conduct research in person to other students on campus. We don't get to do that this time around, but you do still get to think about research a little bit, and we'll talk about that here. Was the answer in the book? Because I answered just from my thoughts and Googling. Yes, the answer was in the lecture video, the slides, and the book. So just to go back really quickly, if you open the chapter 1 PowerPoint or watch the lecture video from last week, it's, I believe, the second slide. So Lauren, make sure that you're watching the lecture video. So look, if you look right here on the second slide were the 4 components of sexual intelligence. Yeah, so it's literally the first slide after the title. So just make sure that you are watching those lecture videos because it is something I went over in there as well. But no worries, we're still figuring it out, getting used to the class. Totally fine. We'll get there together, right? It's always a little bit of a learning curve for every class, every semester. Okay. So as I mentioned, this week is all about research methods. So make sure that you look over the slides. So in the slides here, we're talking a little bit about understanding human sexuality and research. And in the lecture video, I go through all of these slides and talk a little bit about all these concepts. Same thing like I did last week, Lauren. I talked about that in the lecture video. I went through each one of the types of intelligence and talked about a little bit more of what they are and what describes each one. So here's the lecture video for chapter 2. And obviously make sure that you're watching this. There aren't any outside clips, so I was able to post it on YouTube, which I will do anytime that's possible because it's an easier platform to watch things on. But make sure you watch the lecture video that I made for you where I go through the slides, and you might consider taking notes or jotting things down. There's also part of a documentary to watch on here related to Kinsey. Alfred Kinsey, one of the most famous sex researchers, a really interesting guy, and I'm only having you watch half of it. The second half of the documentary is really interesting, but the first half talks a little bit about his background, how he got started, some of the research he was doing, and it's such a great example, again, of differences in times. You know, people thinking that when pinkies touched, you were having sex, right? I mean, people just knew so little about the idea of sex and sex research, and Kinsey was one of the first people to really popularize studying sexuality. Really interesting guy. There's also a great pop culture movie about him. Is it Liam Neeson, I think, is the one who starred as Kinsey in the film. So I would definitely recommend that as well if you're looking for something to watch over the weekend. But make sure that you're watching not only my lecture video, but also the documentary. Take notes, pay attention. Anything in the lecture videos or these videos I post for you is fair game for the exams. You know, I'm not sure. The library at our school, though I don't know how easy it'll be for you to go there, I believe the library at our school has the documentary. I'm sure you could find it online somewhere as well. If you end up finding it online, you should let me know. I only recorded the first half, just to, again, be mindful of your time. But if you look up Alfred Kinsey documentary, I would assume you could find it to stream somewhere online, hopefully relatively easily. You have to let me know. But I'm glad you loved it. Really interesting documentary about this guy who conducted great research. I mean, it was very flawed, but still really informative and interesting. Once you have read the chapter in the book, you've watched the lecture video, and you've watched the documentary, then you will do discussion number 2. And discussion number 2, I made a video for you at the top, giving you a little more information in case you would like it. And you can always see the prompt, and then here's me. So this week what you're doing is, if you were to research anything related to sexuality, what is it that you would want to know? In other words, what would your research question be? And I want you to pick something that you could theoretically test or actually do if you were truly interested in finding it out. Now, you're not really doing this research. I mean, maybe one day if you wanted to, right? But you're not doing it for the class. You're just coming up with a research question or questions. And I am completely fine with whatever you would like to know related to sexuality. Of course, be respectful, but you know, the more interesting, the better, right? So if you want to know, how often do women orgasm, and how many orgasms do they have? How many sexual partners does the average person have? You know, whatever it is that you might like to know, you're going to come up with your questions, and then you're going to talk about what are some of the demographics you would want to consider. Would you want to know age, religion, relationship status, orientation? What information would you want to know about your different participants? How will you research it? If you were to actually go and do this research, how would you go about doing it? Give me some specific research methods, or a specific method that's covered in the book, and how are you going to use that to answer your questions? What are some of the limitations or ethical concerns that you might run into? How will you address them? So I'm looking for you to take the information in chapter 2 and apply it to this discussion. So not only what would you want to know, which could be anything, but how would you research it? This is your chance to show off that you understand and read through some of the different specific methods you could use to conduct research. What are some of the demographics? That's kind of up to you to decide what's important to know. Are you going to compare men and women? Are you going to compare different orientations? Does religion matter to you? If someone is single or married or in a committed relationship, does that matter? And then any ethical concerns or limitations, you can have them, but how will you address them, and what will you do about it? So once you have read everything and you're ready to go, you will hit reply right here, and that's going to bring up that box where you can type your response. And you can type it in here. Again, I would really recommend that maybe you are copying and pasting, saving this somewhere, just in case it gets lost for some reason. And then remember that you're also replying to a peer. So let's say, let me just scroll down here. Let's say I'm like, ooh, Rachel, I really love your post. I'm going to hit reply and I'm going to say, I would love to know how COVID-19 has affected this. And I would kind of go and elaborate and comment on Rachel's post or anybody's post, James's post or Grace's post, right? So make sure that you're not only responding to my questions, which is worth up to 13 points, but that you're also replying to one of your peers. And really important that you've done the reading and watched the lectures before you do the post. Give me all that beautiful information, show off that you understand and can apply it in some way. The other thing for this week is the Twitch extra credit question, which I'll get to in just a moment. But a couple of quick reminders. So I'm going to put these here in the chat. Our next Twitch live stream will be on Tuesday. So Tuesday next week, 8:31. It's the last day of August next week before we get to September at 9:30 a.m. So we will stick to the same day and time unless something comes up or there is a holiday. So our next Twitch live stream will be on Tuesday morning next week, 8:31. At 9:30 in the morning. And then I'm going to give you the Twitch extra credit question for this week. And it's something that was in the lecture. It's something that's in the book. And you're kind of playing off of it a little bit as well in the discussion. So let me put that in here. I have written it out for you. I tried to be so organized in my life here. We'll see. So the Twitch extra credit question for this week. So Twitch extra credit week number 2. Describe one ethical or sampling issue common in sex research. Now, this could be common to sex research in general or just any kind of sexuality, human behavior, psychology research. But what is one ethical or sampling issue common in sex research? And when you're ready to answer that, you'll head over to Canvas and you'll click on Twitch extra credit number 2. And that's going to bring up your area here where you can respond. And it's right here at the top where it says Start Assignment. You'll click on that, and then you can type your response right here in the box. And when you're all done and you've answered the question fully, you can hit Submit, and you'll get the little confetti burst, which is way too exciting. Little things in life, again, always. But when you're ready, that's how you will answer it. You can click New Attempt if you get it wrong or you want to add something to it later in the week. And then remember, it takes a couple of hours to download. I'm working on the one from this morning already. But once we are done today, I will post a recording of today's live stream right here under Twitch extra credit number 2. So hopefully, and I saw about maybe 17 or so of you watched this last week. So if you missed this live or if you want to rewatch it later, you can click on that and watch it on YouTube or just linked out here from the class. So maybe make sure to look for that. It'll take a couple of hours. I'll have it up later for you today. And then somebody had asked me earlier if you wanted to find me and subscribe on Twitch. If you go to modules, and I feel like I have this written everywhere, but if you go right here to subscribing to my Twitch and YouTube channels, what I did is I wrote out step by step for you how to go through this process. So if you follow the instructions in the picture here, you should be able to figure that out pretty easily, or this little YouTube video I found I thought was really helpful as well. One thing that seems to really trip people up, and it's super hard to see. So if I go to Twitch really quickly, and I'm going to go to, I can't show you on my channel, but I can show you on my friend's channel. So I'm going to go to Sticker G, my buddies who play a lot of video games. Look at, they're so famous, right? 16,000 people. But once you have linked your Twitch and Amazon accounts together, if you go to our channel and you click on this little purple area here on the arrow, all the way down at the bottom. So obviously you can pay for Twitch, but please don't ever pay for this. I'm not asking you to give me money. This should be free. If it's not free for you, just follow me and that's fine. But you'll see it right here. It says use Prime sub, and it's small and all the way at the bottom. But if you click that, you can then click on subscribe with Prime for free, and it's only good for a month. So every week you're going to have to make sure you still have that little football cake or crown next to your name. But if you click on this, it will allow you to subscribe for free for 1 month to my channel. And again, the only reason I suggest that to you is I do think that it really makes for a much smoother experience. So if you're unable to watch it live, Tracy, if you are subscribed, then you will still show up as a participant. If you watch it later, you'll be part of my download. And then you can still answer the question on Canvas. If you're not subscribed, it won't show up for me, and I have no way of tracking you. So that's, I guess, another benefit to it as well. So those are where the instructions are for the person who asked me earlier. They're under the Help and Campus Resources, subscribing right here. And you can click on that and get those instructions. And again, it's up to you, but it is a free thing you can do, and it makes it easier, and it makes my life easier too. So those are all good things, I think, right? Any other questions or thoughts or comments at all? We're at about 30 minutes, which was my goal. And then I'll always take the last 10 minutes or so if there are any questions related to the content, the class. When we have an exam week, obviously we might take a little longer as I go over, exam prep and stuff like that. But are there any other questions, thoughts, or comments? I'm going to put that in the chat. Questions, thoughts, or comments on a Halloween cup. No cats today. Right? Where are my cats? Yeah, of course, if you need to go, totally fine. We are kind of officially done. I will hang out for the next 10 minutes or so. If you have any questions, this is a wonderful time to ask me in the chat. I'm here, and I'm here for you. If you think of anything else during the week, of course, feel free to email me. I hope you all have a fantastic week. It's going to get hot again, which is so sad. But that's okay. Week 3 of preseason football is on its way. That helps. I know, no cats. My cat Rolly made it into the stream this morning, but it looks like they are all hiding or outside. They go outside a little bit during the day, and I don't see them. So thank you all again for joining me. I'm really appreciative for those of you who are here with me live. And if you're not, and because of your schedule, I completely get it. But thank you. Your comments and questions just make it feel so much richer. So thank you for doing that. Thank you. I'm going to, they had enough after this morning, right? I had one on this morning on my other stream, and he's like, that's it, I'm out. I'm out of here. Let's see. Last week for the discussion, no one else's response showed up for me, which is why I didn't respond to appear. That should never happen. That's strange that you weren't able to do that. So for example, if we go back to Canvas really quickly, and we go to this week's discussion, let's go click on that. Discussion 2. Thank you for all of you who need to go. That's totally fine. Have a wonderful day. And if you have questions or want to hang out, you're welcome to. So if you scroll down, let's say, for example, James right here, I could click reply, and I could type a reply to James. No one needs to reply to yours. You just need to reply to somebody else's. So I could reply to him, or I could reply to Grace, or Mitra. I could reply to anyone. So it should be that all you need to do is click reply under one of your classmates. If something is happening that's not allowing you to do that, you can always email me or contact Canvas and see if there's something going on, maybe with your computer or the settings. But it should be there for you. It really should be. Okay. Yep. Of course, if you have class or a Zoom or you have to go, that's totally fine. But have a wonderful day, a wonderful week. Hang in there. I know it's still stressful, difficult times, so hang in there. And I'm gonna minimize my video, but I will hang out for a little bit if you do have any other questions. Yes, there is a Canvas tech support phone number that you can call, and if I show you that, I can show you where that is. I have it on here for you. If you go to modules, remember the mandatory orientation lecture that you watched last week? On the very last page where it says help, here is the Canvas support number. I'm going to put that in the chat box for you just so you have it. So let's put that right here. So here's the Canvas support number. They're there 24/7 from what I understand, so you can call them anytime. And there's the phone number. So if it doesn't show up for you this week, I would give them a call and just see what's going on. Maybe it's a setting on your computer. I've never heard of that, but you never know. Technology is always always surprising us, and not always in the best way. So I completely understand. Okay. I hope that helps a little bit. Again, I'll hang out for a little bit here. If you do have any other questions, otherwise have a wonderful week, and I'll see you all next Tuesday. But if you have questions, a great chance for you to take advantage of the time and type them in the chat. All right, everyone. It doesn't seem like anyone has any questions, but if you think of something throughout the week at any point, of course, feel free to email me. I check my email all the time, and I am definitely here. So I'll hang out for another minute or two before I log off. Otherwise, I'll see you all next week.